Hello everybody, it's Ty Kabir with Close Quarters Combat Academy, and this is my student. I'm Hector, and today we're going to show you how to wrap your sticks for added grip if you're doing any kind of stick sparring or Filipino martial arts and you want a better grip on your stick, especially if you're using like lacrosse gloves or anything like that when you're training. So you can do hand shots without hurting yourself. Sometimes they can make it hard for you to hold on and you can lose your stick just in training. So we're going to show you some things to use. So all you need is some basic twine, some electrical tape, something to cut the twine and the electrical tape with. I'm using my handy karambit. And then one more thing that is useful, not necessary, but a lighter. The lighter is this is polyester string, and to kind of bind the knots you'll make so they won't fray easily. So a lighter to melt that. So that's it. So we're gonna get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is we pick your stick, and you're gonna start off with the length at the bottom. You don't want to go right at the end. You want a little bit above. We're gonna just hold that down, and we're gonna wrap over it until it'll bind on itself. And so we have a little bit of a lip. We're gonna wrap that around just to give ourselves some lip, and that's gonna help your hand from sliding out the bottom. And we won't want it too high up because we want to make sure we preserve the length of our stick and our grip. And from there, once we are satisfied with the amount that we have there, we're going to start wrapping up the stick in a diagonal pattern. So we want to kind of spiral this up however much grip you think you want. So for me, that's good. Most of my stick is not quite a third, it's less than that, and that's what you really want. So most of your stick is here. Then you're going to wrap around the top here as well and make another lip. And make sure you keep it kind of separate and stays together. And if you notice what I'm doing is I'm going over and then under to kind of make sure that kind of like starts to wrap over and builds up. So otherwise what happens, it'll just get wider and not really just build up into a lip. So if you can see there, I'm going over and under as I'm wrapping this to make an X pattern.
So it comes away from the stick as opposed to just...
Yeah, widening it out, yep. Then when you're happy with however much you've built up, you're going to spiral back down. So you're going to spiral back down the opposite side that you came up so that you start making an X pattern over your stick. And once you get down to the bottom, depending on how much of an X pattern you have, if you like that, then you can be done here. If not, you'll just go around it once at the bottom and then come back up to give yourself a little bit extra, and then you'll just change the angle. So instead of being right there, maybe I'll go here. Make that bigger so that it's more. Is running away from it. So that's good for me. And I'm going to wrap around a little bit here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut that. And tie it around. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can try and tie it around in like a knot, which is way harder. But you can tie it around and then feed this through to make a knot. Right, you get a little bit of a basic, like a platform knot there. It kind of cinches it in place, and then this kind of ties over. I like to melt this. Fray that up and smush it together. Keep it from fraying. You don't want to catch it on fire because it will catch on fire if it's too much. The wind's stopping me. There you go. So we just take that and mash it up, and then we can't fray. So then we take our electrical tape. And this is where the real time-consuming part is, but well worth it. So you're gonna start there, get it a couple inches back from where that last piece is, and seal that.
So you're sort of doing with the tape the same thing you did with the rope?
Yep.
Going over that one spot.
Going over that one spot, because that's where it'll fray if this tape starts to get damaged or whatever. If you have one layer, it can just come off. So you want to wrap it around a couple times. But then also you want to stretch it some so that it starts to kind of seal into it.
Okay.
And once that happens and you're comfortable with that, then we start to spiral up. And we want to spiral up and make sure that we are covering the stick completely. So
you don't want to see any stick.
No stick
underneath your tape.
And this is the time-consuming part. And we're going to do the same technique that we did with the twine. As we go up, we'll have to spiral back down and do a double layer and crisscross it. And it'll really seal it in. And then we'll go back down one more time. But that will make it so that we have a good handle. So the reason why we're doing this is because Hector and I plan to do some live contact sparring with the Midwest Dog Brothers tribe next weekend. If everything works out, we get down there. And so I'm excited for this. It's been first one since the lockdown and everything. So when we get to the bottom, we're gonna wrap around this as well. And this is another reason why we want a little bit of space here. You don't want that folding over. You want it to be firmly on the side of the stick and not over the edge. That's where it'll kind of like start to fray sometimes. So we wrap around the bottom a couple times and make sure that that is secure. And then we go back down the opposite way. Now that we have no stick showing, you can be a little bit more cavalier with your wrapping if you so choose. But it's always good to double up and really make sure you have a good uniform connection. So spending a little bit more time here, we'll just make sure that your wrap doesn't go off. Now we're using electrical tape because it's cheap and it works really well. You can also use tennis wrap, which will give you a little bit more of a grip, but it's more expensive and you get less of it in a roll. But electrical tape is great, it works great, and it doesn't absorb moisture, so you don't have to worry about sweating and getting your tape wet and things like that. So that's another benefit of using electrical tape. So now that I've already done that once down here and down there, I don't have to worry about wrapping around. I can just go right back up. And I just change this.
This is path number.
This is number 3. Yep. And then I'll tighten it off at the bottom. I don't have to tie them off at the top. I have to tie it down at the bottom because again, if the sticks are sliding back and forth, this is probably going to get hit way more than this will. And so if I had that at the top, if it starts to fray, then it can just fray all the way down. So this is the other reason why the having a lighter is beneficial too. Because the electrical tape, once it's all wrapped up, you can hit it with a little bit of the lighter at the bottom. Stretch this out, don't cut it, stretch it until it tears. So get where you want it to go, stretch it until it tears and just press it in. And that'll give you a nice, clean, stretched out seam. It's not going to be easily frayed. Take the lighter. Granted, the wind's blowing, so we go like that. Flip that a little bit and then smash that down. And then you just go up and down the stick a little bit. And like I said, this part is optional. You don't have to do this. All right, the wind's blowing. I don't care about it. But then you have a stick that has a handle, and the twine acts as a little bit of a texturizer for the tape, in addition to the kind of X pattern that you're making with the tape as you wind up and then wind back down. It kind of crisscrosses over, and so you have a nice texture so that when you're holding this, especially if somebody's trying to rip it out your hand, it cinches back and you can maintain your stick a little bit better. Downside to wrapping your stick is that you will tend to only want to use the side that is wrapped, and so you'll forget that you can switch your grip. You can also wrap the entire stick, and then you don't have to worry about that, which will protect your stick from the fraying and flaking that your sticks can sometimes do when they're older, especially if you have the skin still on your sticks. Wrapping them will keep them from fraying out if you have a rattan stick. This one's been finished already, but if you're more natural like this, where they have the notches and everything on it, over time this will start to fray off. The core will still be good, but this will flake off as you hit, and you'll just get stuff that flakes off. It won't be smooth. So you can always wrap it to keep that from happening. You can preserve sticks that are a little bit beat up way longer, and then you can kind of revitalize old sticks. If you have students or whatever, you don't want them to use your good sticks, you can always wrap up old ones like this to revitalize and get way more use out of them. So there you go. Thank you for watching.